Underground radio.
What does it mean to be underground? It means you gotta be free to be underground. Yo, you got your own key when you're underground. If you're listening to me, yo, you underground.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Connected with Cari here on JessTV, JessFM, Underground Radio. See, we're also live through the 101 app on RokuTV. As I keep saying, no, it's not a secret, and you can just say it out loud. But if you go to your RokuTV and you download the app 101, you can go and find JessTV there, and then you can watch us live on your big screen TV. How about that? Which is all fun and amazing. Also, we are live through the NCG television network in Italy. So those of you who tune in over in Italy, it's like 3 a.m. over there. So thank you for always tuning in with me on Saturday nights. I appreciate you so very much. Yes, I've had a couple guests from Italy on my show. So if you also want to be a guest, feel free to hit me up and we will discuss you coming on. Now, with that, we are entering into season 11. Last week was the official premiere of season 11. So this is now my episode 2 of season 11. So again, if you would like to be a guest during season 11, contact me. We will try and get you in that squishy schedule. But if that doesn't work, we'll get you in season 12. So no worries with that. Now, without further ado, of course, you will always see my posts up and you will kind of get a glimpse at who the next guest is on my show. And you might have already peeked at his profile. You might have already kind of seen the little videos posted up. You may or may not know that this is a 2-time YYC Music Award winner. Lucky for myself, I actually went to the YYC Music Awards that happened last Sunday evening, and it was amazing, just completely amazing. All the live acts that were going on, the speeches, the thank yous, the nominees, truly incredible. And I would say, you guys missed out your chance because I was trying to give away 2 tickets and no one claimed them. So maybe next year you guys will have your chance to be able to win 2 tickets because I myself will be there again next year. Without further ado, I'm going to welcome my guest in. Zaire Ink is with us this evening. And again, truly an incredible and inspiring artist who won 2 awards. Can you believe that? I don't think they were consecutive, but we'll dig into that soon. But without further ado, Zaire, welcome to
Thank you
the
so very much.
show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are
Thanks so much for having me,
very
Cari.
welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Now, first of all, because I do want to kind of just ask real quick before your introduction, but tell us a little bit about your YYC Music Awards. Were they back to back? Were they, and what categories?
Yeah, they were back to back 2019 and 2020, the start of COVID. So unfortunately for the second win, they weren't able to host an actual live event. So we just got our award brought to us. So missed out on the fun that year, but for good reason. Wanted to stay home and stay safe.
Yeah.
It was for the inspirational song of the year, both years. So my friend and I, Afumbam, who we've collaborated a lot in the past, we created one song called Manhood and then the other called Wait. And so we were fortunate enough to win back to back.
Impressive. Very impressive. Okay. Can you do a formal introduction of yourself? I'm also going to put you solo screen for a little while, and then you can kind of take the spotlight because also we do go live on Instagram. And then sometimes this way gets a little squishy, but this way I'd like to give you the spotlight. But please give us a formal introduction of who you are and a little bit about your music career. And then we'll get into a little bit more on the music side. All right?
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Hey, my name is Zaire Ink. I'm a hip hop artist born and raised in Montreal, Quebec. But Calgary is where my creative roots lie. And so this is where I consider home. I initially started off doing spoken word and poetry roughly around 2016, 2017. And so I had an incredible opportunity to build a community and start really establishing my creativity within that space. A few years after that, I was able to connect with one of my great friends, my brother, Afumbam, who we co-founded Two World Creatives, which is our artist collective. So we've been able to collaborate, and after getting to know him, we kind of delve more into the music, hip hop side. He comes from a Afro beats background, originally from Cameroon, and so we were just able to come together and really feed off of each other and start to learn some great ways to create some music. And so doing that for a few years, I decided to finally arrive at launching my debut solo project, which is called When You Meet Yourself, detailing my faith journey after struggling with substance abuse, suicidal ideation, and trauma, eventually leading to a rock bottom moment where I jumped headfirst out of a moving vehicle. And that propelled me to go into a spiritual journey where I really started to wrestle with some existential questions like, who am I? What's my purpose? What am I doing here? And as a result of that, I ended up having a relationship with Jesus Christ and really finding identity and peace and direction from that relationship. Outside of my arts, I've worked as a creative mentor for youth across Calgary, hosting literary workshops, helping them to develop positive self-regard through learning to delve into the creative side. Young people don't always have those creative outlets that are readily available to them. And so it's been my mission since I discovered poetry and creative writing to give back to the youth in that way. I've also been able to work with youth in other capacity, just as a youth mentor, supporting them when they're struggling with their own issues related to mental health, identity, suicidal ideation. So been able to tie those two together. And, my mission is to help young people specifically, but all people just embrace their own testimony, recognize that they have a great deal of resilience and that they can overcome issues of mental health, and they can develop a support system. And for me, faith has always been the answer and the solution for me. And so I'm super excited to be able to share that today. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be on your platform today, Cari.
Oh, you're very welcome. I cannot believe a moving vehicle.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. That's an incredible story. I know, life is never easy. Sometimes we all go through different struggles, and it's almost crazy, but and almost sad that it takes us something that extraordinary to be able to find Jesus.
Yeah.
To be able to make that turn. But I find when those situations happen, it's like, okay, he's like kind of grabbing us going, hey, hello.
Absolutely.
I'm going to catch you out of this car, but the little slap on the face, wake up. I love you. I'm right here.
Exactly.
Come and see me. We're going to have a good talk. Right. I know I laugh about it, but it's true. A lot of creatives that have crossed my path over the many years. So I've been doing this 5.5 years now.
Okay.
And it's, quite frequently do I find that there are these struggle stories that brings out the very creative side.
Yes.
To the artists or to whoever I have on my show. It's been truly amazing to kind of see that side. But then it's also, like you said, it's almost the finding of our purpose. Why are we here? What are we doing? I myself have been through, a situation too. And it was like that brought out this creative side in me to be able to do radio. So in a way, we're like, yeah, it was a really shitty time. But then it's like, oh, look what we get to do now.
Exactly.
Share our stories and help others. And it's like, you're so grateful for that, even though it was like you said, rock bottom.
Right.
And just
Absolutely.
like that turning point. So you get to work with youth, which is really super fun and amazing. What have they said about your story?
I think youth, the one thing I've learned about youth is like, if you're not authentic, they can smell that out right away and they just will not deal with you. Right. So I think for me, just being able to, look the way I look and tell my story, it resonates with them immediately. And so there's
Mhm.
just, I see these walls start to drop down where they're like, okay, especially at the point of contact with me, usually they're at a place where there's brokenness within the home, or they're just struggling, just young people trying to figure out their life. And so they're weary of anyone who is in a position of authority, right? And so for me, being able
Mhm.
to just say, hey, I've been where you've been. I've had the same sort of struggles, and sometimes I still do, but I want to walk with you through that. There's a relationship that can start to develop, a building of rapport that I think they respect and appreciate, and then that enables them to drop the walls and become more vulnerable, and trust that this person is not just gonna, is not just talking. They're actually gonna journey with me through my struggles and adversity. So
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally feel that because when it comes to younger children or younger youth,
mhm.
it's like they're not going to listen to somebody that's older or who's putting up a front, or it's like, oh, they hired a speaker and their speakers coming in,
Exactly.
and like we
Yeah,
have to sit here and it's like, when you're in school and it's like they bring in the speakers and you're like, well, we get out of class, but this is like the most boring story and I don't even, so it's
exactly.
more relatable. And then they can
Hmm.
go, okay, yeah, oh, he's someone that's been through this and been through that, and now, he sings and he has done poetry and he's done all these amazing things, and they can see that.
Hmm.
And you can even, have you ever sang for them?
I
Like
have, yeah. I've
children?
been able to, be in Western Canada high school. Calgary Academy is a great school that I often get invited to, and it's just amazing to see. Not just from the performance, how excited these kids get, but like afterwards, they just want to, sign their shoes, or sign whatever they got. They just want you to sign it, and so
Sign my
it's
math book.
amazing.
Going
I've
back at the
lost
end of the
like
year, but sign my math book.
I'm like, man, do your parents know I'm signing your shoe that they probably spent $100 on? Like, I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, it's
I
just
don't
amazing
think
to,
they would, I don't
yeah,
think the parents would get mad at you because you stand for something that's pretty important and
I
empowering, and it's
appreciate
not leading their child astray.
it. Right.
Right. You're not
I
giving
appreciate
like the
that.
wrong messages out there. So with the music scene,
Mhm.
let's go into, a little bit like where you started from. Did you always do, you obviously you didn't always have any type of gospel type of music out or whatever. So what was the journey of music like for you? I know you
For
kind of
sure. Yeah.
stated your collaboration there, but
Mhm.
what, how did the switch go?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so as I mentioned, I originally started with poetry and spoken word. I always, grew up with an affinity for creative writing. My father was a pastor in Montreal, and I don't have vivid recollections of my time in church, but I definitely remember him preparing his messages and, just using language to communicate what he wanted to share with his congregation. And my mom was always supportive and just helping us learn. She would sit with us through school, my brothers and I. So just support us with growing in that way. And I have older brothers, and so they would come home with their poetry books, their English material, and I would just delve into that. Even though I didn't quite understand all that was being said at the time, that was just slowly starting to develop my desire to communicate my own thoughts as I got older. And so I would just experiment from time to time with, different poetic ways of saying things, but never really thought much of it. And it wasn't until my family and I moved from Montreal to Calgary when I was 16 years old. And so this was a really pivotal time in a young person's life where they're starting to envision life after high school, and, they've found their friends in their community. And so to really change in just one instant and have to finish out my high school years in Calgary was difficult, to say the least. And so I kind of went through just an identity crisis, a cultural clash. From the context of where I grew up in Montreal to being in Calgary was very different culturally speaking. And so that just, pushed me more to becoming isolated and more solitude. And it was there that I started to experiment with creative writing and poetry specifically. Did a brief stint in university, but so much was going on in my life, in my family dynamic and in my personal life, that I ended up just leaving school early and just decided to commit myself to arts. And so I stumbled into a poetry community and started experimenting with that. And I remember I was performing one night, and my friend Afumbam just came out of nowhere, just introduced himself, said, "Hey, I love what you're doing." And he was just, a supportive person. And eventually we just connected. He let me know his background in Afro beats and hip hop, and he had access to a studio. And so he was like, "Man, you have such a great voice and a great way of communicating. I think, we can switch you into music if you're interested in that." And so as I thought back, I was always into hip hop growing up, but never had any access to that sort of creation process. But when I started getting around him and other creatives within that field, within the arts, within the hip hop community, I just started to really fall in love with it and was just constantly working at my craft. And so, we started working on a couple projects, one of which we won the YYC Music Award for our song Wait, the other for Manhood, which is much more spoken word blend. But from there on, I just felt encouraged, like, okay, I think I'm heading in the right direction. And so I just love finding creative ways through music to convey the same stories that I was through poetry and through spoken word initially. So that's where it initially started. And then about 5 years later, here I am, set to release my debut solo project, which is called When You Meet Yourself.
Nice, which is so cool. Right. Now tell us a little bit about, that's quite the journey
Mhm.
especially when you come from, a different province. Moving across the country is a little bit different than just a couple provinces over, but like you said, it's still a bit of a culture shock
Of
because even
course.
in Montreal, it's more French speaking than it is here in Alberta.
Yeah.
So there's the language barrier and stuff. Did you learn any French there? Or did you have
I
to?
didn't learn very much French. We did have like French class, but it
Oh,
wasn't like
okay.
full French
Like the
immersion. Yeah.
usual
Exactly,
Alberta
exactly. The
curriculum
Strauga
where
I
you,
had.
right? Yeah, you start like grade 4 until like grade 9, and I
Right.
probably still remember like that much.
Yeah, I
I'm
funnily
like,
enough understand much more than I can speak. But as I was growing up, things were really changing in terms of like
yeah,
English and French. And so it was becoming much more
yeah,
francophone. And then
yeah.
realizing like, hey, I have not learned enough to be successful in speaking French. My parents were like, let's move out to
Let's
Calgary.
dip.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for
Exactly.
them. Good for them. Well, we're grateful that you're here in Alberta, so
Yeah,
there's that.
I appreciate it.
Exactly. Brought your talent here. We can always use all the talent. We love
Yeah,
talent
absolutely.
here. There is
Mhm.
so many incredible venues in our city.
Yeah,
Like it does
100%.
not
I couldn't
stop.
agree more.
So many incredible artists. Like I said, the YYC Music Awards was just insane with just
Yeah,
filled to the brim with just
I bet.
incredible people. So it's kind of too bad that there weren't, the awards back in 2020, but that's okay. So we can,
Yes.
whatever. Um, have you worked with any other artists that have won an award?
Other artists that have won an award, I don't believe so. I'm trying to think of who recently won an award, and I don't think I've collaborated with any of them. Familiar with them, but haven't collaborated with them.
Okay, maybe we'll
Yeah.
stick that out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, right? You never know. That's pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
just the transition of everything, and like you said, if it weren't for that move, you wouldn't have.
Mhm,
I guess maybe the move kind of started things, right? Where you're
mhm,
16 and you had to isolate a little bit. Unfortunately, then the depression stuff that kind of sets in,
mhm.
but um, struggles, they always make us who we are. So it's not always a bad thing in a type
Yeah,
of a way.
absolutely.
Okay, so let's get into your music now.
Mhm,
Let's talk a little bit about the When You Meet Yourself album. And then I also want to go kind of play a video for our audience so they can kind of see your style and what
mhm.
you've done. Or unless you want to do that first, it's up to you.
No, however you want. That sounds great.
Okay, so let's discuss let's do the video first. I think that'll
Okay,
be
sounds
good.
good.
And that can kind of lead into a little bit more about your music style and the album. I think that'll kind of
Perfect.
work hand in hand. So
Let's
that's
do that.
perfect. Okay. So Zaire
You got it.
that's it. So he's like, "Hey, Carrie, go on to YouTube and go pull up seasons, and we'll play that for the audience tonight." And I said, "Okay, sure, let's do that." So I'm going to pull that up. So you guys can bear with me. And then we're going to let's see, play that for us. Okay, share screen. Because I just wanted you guys to get a little taste of what he does. And again, bear with me because I don't have YouTube Premium anymore. So
There's also a music video if you want to play that one, but if not, the audio is totally fine.
Okay, is this the right one?
That is just the audio.
That's the audio?
Yeah, I can find it here.
Okay, so this is just going to play lyrics. I won't play the full thing. I don't know if I can.
I just
yeah, got it. Okay, so let's pull this up. Oh, perfect. Went right into it. Yay, no ads. Okay.
Awesome.
Right. So let's go back to share screen. It's all good and fun on this end. Okay, share. Perfect. Okay. So play this and then we'll talk about it after. Here we go. Copyright me because this is the artist and he gave me permission.
Seasons change, people change, you the same. Seasons change, people change, you the same. So you're the only one I want.
Yeah, keep it 100, go ahead, call me Will. Yeah, burning these bridges before they get built. Yeah, all of my life I've been living with guilt, fighting my demons with only a hill. How can I win? How can I win? Down in the valley, Gehenna, seen a hyena. It took us Selena before she could tour the arenas. Maybe I'm missing the meaning, fiending for all this applause. But in the midst of the who's and the odds, something is telling me take a little pause. Single soul is still seeing they see this God. How can it be?
You're the only one I want. Yeah. On my mind like 24/7 every day of my life. You're the one. So you're the one. Yeah. You're the only one I need. On my mind like 24/7. You're the only one for me. Cause you're my need. Yeah.
Tell me again, and you came in the world through the womb of a girl. No epidural, part of the mirror, got a separation. Devil, he let me unfurl. Me, I'm just hoping to say that I won. Cried out for help and he sent in the sun. What do you know? I'm straight from the bottom with nothing except what you got in your pocket. People around you are waiting to profit. No one will step in to stop it. Yeah, Christ came through. Concrete fly, I grow. Spending my day speaking heavenly tongues. Living my life and I'm walking among people from J.come. I begun when God himself said he be on.
Yeah. On my mind like 24/7 every day of my life. You're the one. So you're the one. Yeah. You're the only one I need. On my mind like 24/7. You're the only one for me. Cause you're my need. You're the only one I want. Yeah. On my mind like 24/7 every day of my life. You're the one. Cause you're the one. Yeah. You're the only one I need. On my mind like 24/7. You're the only one for me. Cause you're my need.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's dope.
Shout out to Ezra Dave for producing that music video for us as well.
Right? Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Thank you so
That looked
much.
like it was a lot of fun.
It was super fun. Yeah. It was actually at the height of COVID too, so we were stuck in the house and we made that song and then we just had like a brief opportunity to shoot the video. So it was fun to get out and be able to do something creative during that time.
Right. There's, I think, a lot of artists in the city that took advantage of that opportunity to be able to
Yeah.
film in different locations that they could, because otherwise it would be just packed.
Right.
Like,
That's
this is
exactly
great. We
right.
don't have to shut the street down, like get people off the rooftop. By the
Yeah.
way, those are watching, the I love you sign is on top of one of the roofs. I can't remember what building it is, but
Yeah. I think it's
I
Hyde
don't,
Park, if I'm not mistaken.
what's that?
I
The
think it's
park?
Hyde Park. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if it's still there or not, but
Mhm.
I think they switch it up here and there for like Instagram and
Mhm.
fun places to
Yeah.
do
Yeah. Yeah.
good, interesting pictures and stuff there, right? So, and then your stage, where did you film for the stage portion?
Yeah, that was actually at First Assembly Church, just on Elbow Drive. Yeah, close to Chinook Mall in Calgary.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So you're like, okay, clear this clear the stage. Did your
Yeah.
dad hook you up?
Afunbam actually goes there, so he had to
Oh,
connect.
okay.
So
So there
we were
was
able
a
to get it.
connection.
Yeah, it was.
Right? That's awesome, because then it's a lot easier, because then you're like, yeah, they
Exactly.
know you and they can trust
Mhm.
you and be like, yeah, sure, come on in and do your thing, and you don't feel like really weird.
Exactly. No, 100%. Yeah, it's always
That's
who you
awesome.
know. So that was helpful in that instance.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Tell us a little bit about seasons. I mean, we can kind of get the message watching it, but um most oftentimes with a song, there's an underlying message when it
Mhm.
comes to releasing a song, especially when it
Yeah,
goes into a video, because it's a little bit more close to your heart, I think, when a
yeah.
video is made from it. So take us through, yeah, just take us through the video.
Yeah. Yeah. So Afunbam originally came up with the idea for seasons. He came up with the hook. And essentially is revolves around the idea of the fact that God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He doesn't change. And so we know that the world will always change. People will change. People will, be subject to their emotions, and the world is always in flux as a result of, the system that we're under. But God is the one source that we can always turn to. And so just pulling from that idea, I was just reflecting on the fact that in my own life, the ways in which I've changed in my relationship to God. So some days I'm hot, some days I'm cold, in terms of my affections to Him. And so the crux of that song was about recognizing, hey, there's been moments in my life where I've tried to pursue acclaim and fame from people. I've tried to gain the attention of the world. And while I'm seeing them standing and applauding me for all the things that I'm doing, the question is God actually excited? Am I actually honoring Him with my life? And so in the first verse, I touch on the fact that everyone is standing and giving me a standing ovation, but the one person I see still sitting is God. And so for me, it's just a reminder that I shouldn't do things for the applause of people, but always at the heart of it to make sure I'm honoring God. And anything beyond that is a bonus, but He is more than enough to sustain and to keep me and to give me all the joy I need. And so that's where
Right.
that song Seasons is derived from.
I love that. I love that message because it's very true. You get out there and you're performing and doing all the things, whatever, but oftentimes we forget who
Mhm.
gave us this talent.
Yeah.
Who was the one that sent you your struggles? Who was the one that's like, hey, I need you to tell the word to others. I need you to get
Mhm.
this message across.
Yeah.
These are the talents I'm going to give you. What are you doing with them?
Yes. Yeah.
So, like you said, if Jesus is over there sitting in the corner and he's not applauding you,
Right.
and everybody else is like, hey, you're the greatest thing
Yeah.
ever. I agree. I'm like, I don't want that side.
Yeah.
I'd rather be like,
100%.
are we doing our purpose here on earth? Are we sending the messages out? Are we getting those across the right way? Are we making God proud?
Mhm.
Are we making our
Absolutely.
souls proud? Are we feeling that? Are we doing, are we being graceful in our lives? Are we
Mhm.
being charitable? Are we being humble? So we're looking at
Absolutely.
all these different ways and going, okay, even if we're award winners, we're both
Mhm.
award winners, but
Yeah.
how do we use that? Are we using it to our advantage? Or are we taking
Exactly.
these gifts and we're saying, hey, like, we are here to help you because we got these awards. We want to share that, side of us with others going, hey, we have an in, or we know people, let's get, connect together and do the things and help others here on earth going, hey, we can help you along your journey. Because otherwise, why get awarded? Why share that with others? Why go, hey, you want to boast, go ahead, but it's just going to be taken away from you, right?
Absolutely.
As fast as you got things. And I think that's also an important message too, is that when you receive things too quickly, it often gets taken away too quickly.
Yes. Yeah.
The rising fame overnight is not always a good idea.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
Sometimes I'm like, man, it's taking me 5.5 years for people to know me. And I'm like, but it's the journey, it's going on. And hey, maybe he's testing me. Are you going to still stick with it if I make you a little bigger? And I'm like, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a line from an artist, and he said,
Yes,
"Don't
Dad.
let talent take you where character can't keep you." And I think that is such an important reminder. So often we elevate people because they have, this natural gifting, they have charisma, but behind the scenes, their lives are not in order. And so for me, it's like, let me take the road less traveled. Let me, make sure my soul is correct first and foremost before, I'm able to step before people, because at the end of the day, we want to be a service to people. So.
Well, exactly. And I see it as every step I look for, excuse me, good old Alberta dry weather. We haven't had, we had got a lot of rain, but it's still pretty dry going into October here. But, I prefer that God shows me the doors that I should be going through.
Yes.
Am I ready for this? And that he leads me to that instead of just jumping and going, assuming that, this is for me, that's for me, whatever. But if he's chosen it for me and I'm like, okay, if this is it, then I'm trusting. And he'll guide you through that and give you the tools to guide you through that situation. That's always how I see it. So you have all these youth looking up to you, holding your hand through these doors. That's a lot of trust.
Yeah, no, it's never something. It's never something I take lightly, especially, now being a parent to an 8-week-old, just seeing, how, thank you so much, my wife and I are, obviously we share them with family visit, but you're just like, oh, like, protect this life at all costs, and so I keep that in mind anytime I'm, connecting with other youth, like, these are, other people, their parents, their loved ones, feel the way I do towards my son, and how much more does God feel towards us. And so making sure we are treating them as such, right? Made in the image of God.
Right. I think that is like the key thing, where it's like when you become, because I'm also a parent, and it's like, you're like, God loves me this much, but he loves you more. He loves you way more than that. And you're like, how?
Yeah. And you don't even have to do anything. There's been nights where I'm just looking at my son, and I just start crying. It's like, I can't even tell you anything he did to make me feel that way, but I just, you're just
like,
so
why did you make me cry? Damn it. Stupid cute baby, I love you so much. It's also called lack of sleep. You'll get a little bit vulnerable, and so you will cry. So it's okay.
Exactly.
But so take those moments in, because they go by really quickly. So
appreciate it.
Everyone will always say that. Okay, let's go into the big project. When you meet yourself is the title of this project. Take us through that, because we kind of touched up on all the little bits through this interview so far of kind of what this project is about, what it's based on, how it's meshed together with your struggles and vulnerabilities and what you're doing in life. That's just kind of why, some people, guys may be watching and going, okay, we'll get to the point. What are we here for? Why the stories, and why are you dragging it out? But, when you watch a movie, there's beginning parts, and you kind of make your way up to the climax part of a movie. This is the climax. Buckle up, kids.
Exactly.
This is the greatest part. We're going into the amazing project that he put together. And like I said, it's all meshed together through his journey so far. So please take us through the the birth of this project, why
Yeah.
you decided to do it. And then we'll go into details a little bit about some of the tracks on it, what you're doing. We'll go from there. All right, here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so my debut solo project is set to be released. It is called When You Meet Yourself. And it really tells the story of when I first encountered myself in the moment of rock bottom, where I jumped headfirst out of a moving vehicle. And up until that point in my life, I had just kind of gone through life and, was the way that I was based on my upbringing and just the way I'm uniquely wired. But it wasn't until life circumstances really came about that I was forced to take a step back and see who I really was. And in that moment of rock bottom, jumping out of the car, I embarked on a spiritual journey, and I found that I was incredibly broken, but also deeply loved. And so that contrast allowed me to see that there was a version of myself that could exist that was whole and healthy, but I found that he could only come about through an intimate relationship with the God who created me. And so subsequently, jumping out of that car, I went through this process of sanctification, essentially the story of how God is shaping me every day to, as the Bible says, not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed in the renewing of my mind. And also looking at glorification, the promises of the eternal life that is to come, where there's no more weeping, no more sorrow, no more brokenness, all of these utopic ideas that we chase and pursue in the here and now, but in many ways feel as though they're just beyond our grasp. And so this project will touch on all of those aspects of my story, from salvation, sanctification, and glorification. And it's spread over the course of 10 tracks, incorporating some incredible features, some different styles and genres, really experimenting with my my songwriting ability, and my creative writing ability as well. So all of that is culminated from the years of this story being in the making. I felt like it was the perfect time in my life, with so much going on in the world, but also just finding myself at a place of great peace, because I know whose I am now, whereas so much of my life was struggling with trying to find success, or burdened by the things that I had done in the past, guilt and the shame that I was unable to break free from. And it was only finally having a relationship with Jesus Christ that I was able to experience that. And so it felt like a great opportunity to really tell that story, in hopes that other people will discover the strength to embrace their own testimony, because that's ultimately what we're here for, to inspire others to live a life that honors God and brings them closer to him. So that's where we find ourselves with the When You Meet Yourself project.
Amazing. And there we have it. No, I'm just kidding. Take us through the first track, and the middle, and the end, just to kind of give us a little bit of that story.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So the first song is called Psalm 73, and it's based on the biblical psalm that bears the same name. And so I was so inspired by this particular song when I was reading through the Bible, because the writer Asaph speaks very candidly about the frustration and doubt that he's having over the apparent injustice in the world. And he's essentially wrestling with this question of, why do bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people? And often when I talk to people, this is one of the main concerns or hesitations that they have with faith. And I also did as well. And when I was looking at the circumstances that were occurring in my life, I was like, man, I'm even at a point where I'm serving God, bad things are still happening. And so I'm really struggling to understand why he would allow that. And now the writer Asaph does experience a transformation in his own life when he enters into the presence of God, gains a heavenly perspective, and ultimately starts to understand how this long arc of justice is working out within the world. We think of just our finite time, but God is dealing in the context of eternity. And so Psalm 73, the first track off of the album, really focuses on that frustration, that doubt that made me walk away from a relationship with God. The middle track of the project, I'll tie it in with the two. So Audio Biography is track 4, and that tells the story of when I jumped out of the moving vehicle, head first onto the pavement, and then subsequently embarked on a spiritual journey in which I encountered Jesus Christ and began a relationship with him. And then the middle track, which is SMS, Save My Soul, just discusses how God's word has encouraged and empowered me not to go back to the life I used to know, but to embrace the destiny that he has for me. And so the album concludes with track 10, which is called Awesome God. It's a remake of a classic worship song by the same name. And it is meant to serve as an encouragement for anyone who has felt overlooked or unseen by God, as I did at a certain point in my life. It's meant to remind them that regardless of what you're going through or where you're at, he sees you. More importantly, he cares about your situation, and he can intervene if you will allow him. And so it's meant to highlight that and also describe this God who is high and lofty and all powerful, but he's made himself known in flesh and blood. And that means he's near to the brokenhearted. So that's how the album pretty much encapsulates itself.
That's so cool. I like that. I like that story. It's
Thank you so much.
very uplifting, knowing that, you know, yeah, we can be down in the dumps and whatever, but then things will get better. You know, it's so funny because you were saying, and I was going to bring it up earlier, but I was going to be like, yeah, have you ever like had a time where you're like, you totally hate God?
Yeah.
Like, just, you're like,
Absolutely.
And it's not that you actually hate him.
Mm-hmm.
It's that you can't really put your finger on why he's leading you through a struggle at that time.
Yeah.
Or why he's not answering prayers, or why he's just like, you know, you're like, come on, like, I need something here. Like, you know, or I hate that you did this to me or whatever. And it's the same as like, you know, your own parents. Sometimes like they discipline you and you're like, I hate you.
Yes.
That's the best way I can ever make it really relatable to my audience is, you know, you have that time where it's like your parents that ground you, or they spank you, or they whatever discipline, or they just like you take your phone away, or ground, like whatever, or you can't go to the mall with your friends this weekend. It's like, okay. Exactly. And then you want to sneak out of your room and go see your friends anyway. And and then you get worse trouble because you didn't listen the first time, right? So God's the same way, guys. You better listen up. It's like, okay, well, can I make your punishment a little bit longer now because you're not listening?
100%.
But I find those are the times when, he's not being harsh on us. He's actually just giving us some space and giving us some time to kind of sink into, I think, who we are, and not saying like, oh, are we deserving of this next thing? But it's like, I found looking back, even in my own life, of very big transitions of, you know, maybe it was a move or something. And it's like, okay, well, the other person who was living in my place that I'm currently in had to move out. And the person that was here before me was here 10 years. So I think that's a pretty big move of like, okay, thank you, God. So I think of like even just a little story of like that, where it's like, okay, well, no, you're not going to be there yet. You got to just hold off. You know, you'll be there in a couple of years, but just wait. Right. Yeah. So when we look at the long run of things and we want something so bad, but it's like, it's like that puzzle. He's moving things around and he's trying to find the puzzle piece and doing all this, but it's not just you in play. There's so many other, we'll just even say, you know, characters of this story that are puzzle pieces that he's got to move around to be able to just, you know, whatever. Yes, God built the earth in like 7 days, whatever. He did it all. Rome wasn't built in a day. It was, but he's like, okay, here's Rome, bam. But you know what I mean? Like things change over time. It wasn't like, you know, we look at our city, like Calgary wasn't the way it is now overnight, right? So everything, great masterpieces, songs, projects, people, families, everything takes time. You think of even your own family now, like you had to meet your wife so many years ago and then making a baby like 9 months. It's not overnight. Like everything takes its time when it's due time, right? Even like when you're anticipating a baby being born, it's maybe not on the due date. Sometimes it's earlier or later. God's got the timing on that, right? 100%. So we have to trust that timing, that's, you know, the oven's ready. Okay, let's go. Right. Right. So those are amazing things to look at. And I commend you for going through those struggles. And I commend you for writing this project and putting it out into the universe for everyone to see and to go, hey, this is my story. This is what's going on. And I want you guys to listen to this and take a message from it. That, yeah, struggles are here. It's going to take time, but if I can do it, anyone can do it, right? Right? If Zaire can do it, you guys can do it. Right? Absolutely.
Exactly.
Before we kind of close up here, where can people first, I would love if there's a closing message that you would have for the audience, but also where will, the album be kind of dropped, and when can we listen to it? Will there be videos on YouTube? Give us the spiel.
Yeah, for sure. So the album rollout will be kicking off with my listening party, which is happening on Saturday, October 4th. So that'll be people's first opportunity to hear it from start to finish. And then it will be rolling out one track at a time, dropping every 3 weeks. I don't have a specific date just yet. I still got to collaborate with my creative team to discuss the release date. But once the first track comes out, it will be every 3 weeks, one track at a time until we get to the full 10 songs being released. So you can stay tuned with all updates by following me on Instagram at Zaire Ink. And there will be some cool content depending on the outcome of the listening party. People will have the opportunity to choose some of their favorite songs off of the project, and that will help me figure out what songs to prioritize in terms of making music videos and just some cool content and contests around. So that is the layout of how the project will be coming about.
Ooh, I like that. I really, really like that, where it's like, oh, I'm going to give you a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit there, but you guys have to go and you got to vote and do the things and kind of see, I find that with major artists that are out there that it's like, yeah, there's an album out. They don't always necessarily release it all at once. There's usually the top track and it's kind of released, and then it's like a banger. It's always a banger. And you're like, oh, yeah, and you want more. So then it's like almost like the second best track on the album gets released and you're like, oh yeah. And then you want more. It's really bad.
Yeah.
But I love that because it's like the tease of like, yeah, there's more coming and this is what's coming, but it's the people.
Yes.
So if the people are tuning in and they're listening to and they're going, oh yeah, I want more and whatever, then you can kind of gauge it. I love,
absolutely.
Audience participation, you guys go.
Exactly.
Right?
It's a very fluid release, but it's a journey of faith, right? So it's an open invitation for you to come walk with me on that journey of faith, and we can grow together. So one song at a time is the way it's going.
Right. That's so wonderful. And that's a nice slow journey too.
Yes.
It's good. Everyone can be involved and they can be seen and heard just as much as you. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing your story, your vulnerability, what you're doing. Like I said, I commend you for everything you've been through and what you're doing for our youth. And as an artist, I look forward to listening to it. Maybe we'll have you back and we'll do our own listening party.
Would absolutely love that. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Maybe when it's all out, and then we can just kind of sit and go through it or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
That sounds like a great idea. I like the sound
maybe
of that.
halfway through or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. We'll get the audience all kind of riled up.
Sounds good. We might even give the audience a sneak peek of the whole thing, you know what I mean? Before
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, on Instagram, basically any socials, right? Zaire Ink. Zaire Ink. I'm not saying it right. Yeah. Zaire Ink. Okay. So you guys go follow, like, subscribe, do all the things, and just, follow him along his journey. And that's going to be absolutely wonderful. So thank you again for joining me, and we will chat soon. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. So with that ends our Connected with Cari season 11, episode 2. No, I don't always count all my shows, but sometimes I kind of say them so I know where I'm at. But with that, incredible stories. And again, it's like, where's your journey? What are you doing? Here's a collective on earth, like, take our hardships and turn them into amazing things. I think that's what we're here to do for sure. Make sure you guys go check out Zaire's Instagram and all of his music. Just get ready for it. Like all these tunes are going to drop really soon. With that, also, I just want to say thank you for everyone for always tuning in. You guys are so amazing. If you have not been watching our Shift Happen show with myself and Dina, our next episode, I believe we are in season 6 with the Shift Happen show. So October 8th is our next one, and we're going to be doing cultural shifts. So again, it's like all on different cultures when it goes around Halloween time. So we're kind of mixing it up instead of just focusing on Halloween like we did last year. This year we're doing like, okay, what is the other cultures doing? You know, like the Day of the Dead, Diwali, I think, is coming up. So all these different cultures. So it's going to be really fun. Make sure you guys tune in for that. And of course, make sure you guys tune in next Saturday for another episode of Connected with Cari. With that, make sure you guys stay connected. Good night.